Welcome back to another episode of Armchair Author Chats. This will be our season finale. Oh, I can't believe it. And what better way to wrap up this season than with the most amazing author of the Shadow Crown series, Kristen Martin. Let's bring her on.
Hi there.
Hi, Kristen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Trying to make through this heat wave, like randomly, that we're having. I don't know about you guys over there in Texas, but in Arizona, we're like,
Yeah,
what is happening? It's
it's
fall.
been it's been hot here. It's finally starting to cool down, but our humidity levels are just through the roof. So, what can you do?
What can you do? Yeah, put on the air conditioner. That's what I'm saying. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited. Your Shadow Crown series is amazing, and you just released a new book in the series. Am I correct on that?
You are correct. It just came out. Oh my gosh, was that last week?
Yeah,
I'm
the
prepared.
924, I
Sitting
believe.
right here.
Arcade. It's right in front of you.
Yes. Just came out last week. Yeah, it's the fifth book in the series, so it's not, the first book of the series, but it is the fifth book, and there's one more coming out next month, so it's kind of like a dual
Ooh,
release. But I've been working on the series since 2017, so
I
it's
love that.
it's due to be finished.
Yeah, I have been following Arden for a hot minute because she's awesome. So let's start with some magic.
Yeah.
I want to ask you some fun questions about like your process and how you write and what inspires you and all the fun things that makes authoring so amazing. So, can you share the moment you felt that first spark to start writing your first book?
My very first book, that would actually be, I had a bit of a health scare back in 2014 timeframe. It was kind of serious where I had to go into the hospital, go under anesthesia. Nothing like this had ever happened before. They
Hmm.
had found like precancerous cells that needed to be removed.
Oh my
So
God.
kind of a dark way to start to start this off. But anyways, just that whole process of kind of like being in the hospital, going through all of that. At the time, I was working a corporate job that just I don't know, it didn't like fulfill me in the way that I would have hoped, and it didn't, everyone says like light me up. It didn't bring me that much joy. It was just kind of something I was doing, to make a living.
Yeah.
And I always loved writing. So just being in the hospital and realizing like something could go wrong with the anesthesia, with the procedure, like I don't know, but before I was actually in the hospital, I was like I'm going to write my book before I go in to the hospital. And I was
Wow.
actually able to hold it in my hands. I was able to get like a proof copy, which is what this terrible banner right here is, but proof
Well,
copy, it's not the
we're
final
all
copy.
yeah. I mean, we'll be forgiving there. I think authors have a soft spot for that copy.
Yeah. But I was able to hold that book in my hands before walking into the hospital for that procedure. And so I almost felt at peace saying like, or just thinking to myself, I finished something I really wanted to do in this lifetime, just in case anything did go wrong during the procedure. At least I fulfilled something that really made me happy.
Yeah, through
So
adversity comes the light, right? I mean, like,
yeah,
God was speaking to you. I mean, it's just like, wait, you've got this thing in you. Make it happen. What are we waiting for?
exactly. It's kind
And
of
you,
like I realized how much I had put on the back burner to pursue goals that I thought I wanted, but they weren't really mine. So that just sent me on a whole like soul searching journey, and then going back to the things that I loved to do as a kid, which crazy enough, reading and writing. Here we are, like 11 books later or 12 books later. I don't even know at this point.
right? Well, and then you have some other things that are amazing that came out of that too. The inner divine alchemy, that smart hustle. I mean, you've
Did a
really
lot.
made I mean, just one event has just given you this domino of just, you know what? I have a lot to offer to the world, and you're
Yeah.
doing it, girl. It's
It
awesome.
really opened up my creative well, if you will. So it's crazy how such an event that's so, I don't want to use the word traumatizing, but just scary and unexpected can bring about, it's like such a catalyst for change and good change, because then I was able to quit that corporate job and just create full time, which
Right.
I didn't even realize that that's the path I wanted. I always thought I wanted to be this like corporate girl high up in the ladder. Like
Well, that's the
I thought
messaging
what I
we
wanted for
get.
myself.
Yeah,
Not.
as women, right? We're growing up in this society. They're telling us, well, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be doing this corporate thing, and we're like, well, am I?
Is that really what I want? Yeah, it's
Someone's telling
crazy.
me what to do, and we don't realize it. But I'm so glad that it's got you out of that and got you doing your own thing, and you're just sailing, woman. You are doing amazing. So your book, so Arden, this
Yeah.
character, which for those of you who don't know, she is an orphaned female assassin forced to flee the kingdom she's come to call home after discovering, I'm going to say something, dot, 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 because we want you to read the books.
Right,
So
right.
this, so this series has a roller coaster of emotion, and there's horses, and there's a fun tidbit I want to touch on that with the horses, because you first came up with the Shadow Crown series at the Houston Rodeo. And there's really nothing about the rodeo in the Shadow Crown series.
Actually, the only thing that it has in common with the rodeo is the fact that the characters ride horses. That's their mode of transportation. But it just goes to show that you can really come up with, or inspiration can hit you at any time, at the most unexpected of times. Why these characters came to me all of a sudden, like why Arden spoke to me in my mind at the Houston Rodeo, is something I will never understand. And maybe I'm not meant to understand it, you know?
Right,
I'm
right,
just so happy she did,
absolutely.
because I saw this character in my mind who just, I wanted to know more about her. I'm like, what is going on with her? Like why is she an orphan? What happened to her family? Like what's, now she's an assassin. Like how did she get there? How does she feel about that? And kind of her whole backstory just started to
Unfold.
develop.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just amazing. So, since we don't understand why it happened at the Houston Rodeo, what would you think inspired the storyline from that experience? Because it had to be something there, had to say, what's going on? Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, feverish. Let's do it.
Well, honestly, so this is gonna sound kind of silly, but I think being somewhere so out of my routine, because I was actually there for work. I came up with this idea. It was around like 2016 timeframe, 2017, and for my work, which I used to work in oil and gas, we would host our customers to go see the rodeo. So we'd have like a suite and everything. And I just started to wonder, I'm like, maybe it's because this is so outside of what I normally do that my mind kind of just, like, I was open to the inspiration to find me, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
that makes
I
so
wasn't
much sense.
thinking, because when I'm in my routine and in my day to day, I can get so caught up in what I'm doing that I'm not really like listening for ideas, or I'm not as open to them because I'm so busy with what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe because at the rodeo, I wasn't. I wasn't really, I was just like talking with people. I don't know, maybe it was able to come to me.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's
yeah.
a perfect explanation. It just opened you up to something that was sort of hidden away, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So can
The
you give us
unlocked
a,
story.
yeah. So give us a peek behind the curtain about your writing routine or any quirky habits you may have when writing.
Okay, so I used to pride myself so much on my writing routine, and that's what I built like a whole YouTube channel around, was like
Right.
just my writing routine, and giving advice to other writers who were thinking about self-publishing their books. But nowadays, with just my life has changed so much with
Mhm.
the baby, that I'm honestly, the times I am writing are when she is napping. She's 1 year old. So
Oh,
sometimes her naps are 45 minutes, sometimes they're 3 hours. It just depends how tired she is.
oh, her precious girl, you guys. She's so beautiful. Ivy, she's oh, precious, and congratulations with you are with child with your second.
Yes, and also another girl. So we found that out recently too. So another girl due in January, late
Slumber
January.
parties and glitter. I'm in.
Yes, all the things.
All the things. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So your characters feel really real in your series. Do you secretly borrow traits from people you know, or are they purely imaginative?
I love this question. So, in my first series, the Alpha Drive series, which is more sci-fi dystopian, I had originally written that as a contemporary novel. And so those characters are based on people I went to college with, like
Oh,
100% hands down. I can tell you the names of the actual people as they relate to the characters, like
I
who I
love.
based them off of. But I would say for the Shadow Crown series and anything else I've written since, it's purely imaginative. So,
Yeah.
because I was really thinking about that, I thought, do I borrow traits from people? And then I realized my circle of friends also like, no, I don't.
Oh gosh, that's great. So every author has a favorite part of writing. What scene or chapter in your book or books, you can pick a few, doesn't matter, that you enjoyed crafting the most? Oh, oh, I think we've lost her. Let's see if we can get her back in.
I think we got
There you
disconnected.
are. We lost you real quick. I go, oh, maybe you don't want to answer that question. I don't know. No.
I think you were asking, I heard like half the question.
Okay,
So,
so what scene or chapter in your book you most enjoyed crafting?
oh, okay. So honestly, I would say, especially in this book in Arcane Haven, it gives like Hogwarts vibe called Midvale Arcane Haven, and they're learning how to wield their abilities. So I would say honestly, like, because this whole book takes place in this magical school, that this was probably my favorite book of the series to write.
Nice.
But I will say that this is the final book that comes out in October, Midnight Rain, to finally
Ooh.
be able to do like the big reveal in the series, like the big thing that's going to happen at the end and like revealing identities and things like that.
Yeah.
That was it was so satisfying to write
Oh,
because I've been waiting to write that since 2017. That's like what, 7
yeah,
years.
that is. Yeah, that's
So I would say it's a tie between writing about like the magical school because that was really fun, but then finally being able to write the big reveal at the very end of the book was really
fair,
fun.
fair.
So
So, what was your biggest aha moment during the publishing process? Because publishing a book's no small feat, guys. So, this is like tough stuff. So, what's your aha moment?
it's not easy. I honestly think my aha moment with publishing was actually I first started with the Alpha Drive series querying it, thinking I wanted to go the traditional route. And I had a couple agents who wanted to see pages. And then ultimately, I just thought, like, well, can't I just do this on my own? Can't I just publish it myself? And that kind of took me on a journey on YouTube.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how everything started. But I think that was my aha moment was there's never just one way to do something. There are always different, like it's never just one way or one right way to do something. And so because I'm querying like the paranormal romance novel that I have right now, but I'm like so glad that I have self-published my books. Like I think
Yep.
it's I don't know, I'm just really proud of myself for researching it and actually doing it and taking that initiative
The
to get my
follow
story out.
through, the initiative,
Yes.
the finishing it, all the
Yes.
things. Yeah. So, can you share a funny or unusual story that happened while you were writing or promoting your book or books?
Oh my gosh, funny or unusual? That's a hard one because I'm not sure how funny. I think just being so when I when I moved when my husband and I got married and I moved into because like this is his house. So I moved out of my house and
Hmm.
went to a different area of Texas. I actually went to the Target that's over here, and I was getting a Starbucks, as I usually do get coffee.
Yum.
And the barista behind the counter recognized me. And she was like, I read your books, I watch your YouTube channel. And it's just one of those moments where I just am such an awkward human because I forget that I'm like doing things that other people can watch, can read, can consume. So I felt like I probably could have been so much nicer, but she just caught me by surprise. So whoever that was, I'm so sorry if you're like, wow, she wasn't very nice. Because I just was not, I
It
was just going to
wasn't
get my
intentional.
like,
It's the creator's plight. We're all awkward in person.
yes. No, because I'm just naturally I am an introvert, and
Mhm.
I don't know, because then I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, like, what did she think of my books? And like, is she secretly someone that like doesn't like me? Like, you start thinking of
In the
all
back,
this.
all this, yeah,
Yeah. So I'm
filibuster.
like sitting there just like a ball of anxiety as I'm talking to her. I'm like, I hope I didn't come off that way.
I'm
So,
sure she was just like, oh, sorry. Maybe she made you nervous or something. Maybe,
yeah.
hopefully, she's watching and she knows us all in love.
Yes. I was just like, wow, I wasn't expecting to be recognized in a Target of all places.
Right.
So,
So writing isn't always easy. How do you push through writer's block or tough days?
oh, writer's block. I think the biggest thing that has helped me combat writer's block is to know, well, first of all, to keep my story at the forefront of my mind, because it is crazy how you can write one day, skip a day, and then get back to writing and yes, just whoop, like you don't even know what you wrote, right?
What
Yeah.
is it doing here?
So I think that that's probably my biggest thing is just before I go to bed and in the morning when I wake up, I read whatever I've written. I read my notes for like what I want to write, what I want to write next. And I know the pantsers in the audience are going to be like, but I don't have an outline. I don't take notes. I just write by the seat of my pants. And that's awesome. But I feel like you have to have a direction. If you are directionless, you
Hmm.
are just staring at a blank page, unfortunately. I feel like you have to know like even if it's just the mood or the vibe or like the thing you want the character to do next or how you want them to feel,
You have
that's
to
what
have
helps
some idea, even if it's
some
not
idea.
a formal summation of whatever outline, right? You're just like, okay, well, I think I know, kind of.
Just like a general direction, just
We'll
where are
help
we
move you
going
through that.
next? Yeah.
That's good advice. Very good advice. Listen
Yeah.
up, pantsers, because I'm one of them. I'm guilty. So, so guilty. If a book were to be your book were to be adapted into a movie or the series, either series, they're both really good. So, who would you dream cast in lead roles?
It's so okay. I had to last night. I was Googling because I realized I'm a millennial. And so when I think about famous actors and actresses, I think like the people I grew up watching, like Angelina Jolie and
Yeah,
Cameron Diaz, and I don't even know who else. But anyway, so I had to do a little bit of Googling to know who these people like. I'm like, because the characters, they're teenagers, right? They're supposed to be like right around the 20
right,
year old
because
mark.
it's a young adult fiction, right? The
So
white,
I
yeah.
realized I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody's names. But anyway, so I kind of went and Googled. With Shadow Crown, it's like a multi point of view series, or I guess the book. So there's five main characters that you're getting because there's a lot of characters. So I don't
Right,
want to go through all of them. But
right. Yeah, that's
for
fair.
the main who you like read their points of view, I would say Arden O'Leary. It would be amazing if she was played by Dove Cameron. She sings now, but I feel like she just has this like darker edge to her that would fit Arden's
Yes,
character so well. And then also just like aesthetically, like her hair color, eye color, all of that, it matches Arden almost to a
I love
T.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ryden Hellstrom was kind of a hard one for me, but Jacob Elordi.
Okay.
He was in, I'm trying to think of the movies. I don't even know the titles of the movies he's been in. But I feel like he would play a really good assassin because he and Arden are, assassins and they have a really good bond. And I could just see the two of them really like hitting it off on screen, like kind of like
Good
friends, like really
choices.
good
Very
friends.
good choices. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
And then Braxton Hornsby, which is actually Braxton Tymond, it's so funny because he has that white blonde hair. So of course, when you think of a teenager with white blonde hair, I just automatically think of Draco Malfoy from the Harry,
Yep.
so Tom Felton. I was just like, so
That's
he
who
would
popped in
be
my head right now.
exactly. So I feel like he would be Tom Felton would be such an amazing
Hmm.
Braxton character. And then with Serlia, I'm gonna say her name wrong, but she plays Wonder Woman. So Gal
Hmm.
Gadot, I think I'm saying her
Yes,
last
I
name.
think you are. That's how I say it anyway.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
she would
gal.
be
If we're
right.
mispronouncing it and butchering it, we love and adore you. It's all we. Yep.
I know.
Throw that out there.
She would just be. I just like she would make an amazing queen because
Yes.
she's
She has
awesome.
such
She's
an
so elegant
aura.
and poised, but she is like she can get it done. You know, like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
impressive. So and then
Yes.
Darius Tymond, he so the actor's name is Ian Glenn. I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, but he was Khaleesi's like loyal advisor. So I feel like for Darius, because at first you're not really supposed to like him, but you kind of show him grace throughout the series and you start to understand why.
Hmm.
But I always thought he would be he's just an incredible actor in
Yeah,
general. But
yeah, he's great. And then what he plays in Game of Thrones, that it sort of unfolds that way as well, right? Where you kind of go, I don't really know about this guy, but as it goes along, you kind of start to,
yeah, he was honestly one of my favorite
yeah.
characters in Game of
Well, he
Thrones.
had so much growth in that
Yeah,
series. He had so much growth in there, so I could totally see him being that. Yeah.
yeah.
So you actually write. So for those of you who haven't read the series yet, there is a multi POV in this series, and would you maybe expand a little bit on how you're able to write from multiple POVs in one series that way?
That's such a good question because so Arden's tense is first person present tense.
Hmm.
And well, I guess I should say the whole book is present tense, but Arden is her point of view is in first person. And then the other four characters, which there are more characters that kind of get added as the
Right.
series goes on, they're third person. So obviously writing in first person for me has always been so much easier. It comes more naturally because you're using I, so you're really in the characters' heads. The other characters, I feel like the hardest one to get into his head, and I've said this from the very beginning, was Darius
Yeah.
Tymond, because he just, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he just, I don't know. It was just hard to get into. Like, I felt like I knew his character so well, but he wasn't one to really express himself with
Right.
words. It was so much through actions, which I guess when you're writing, but I wanted to really like get into his mind and show what was going on in his mind with the decisions he was making and the actions he was taking. So he was a tough one. But the way that I would do it is I would actually write like three of Arden's chapters at a time, and then I would kind of feel into whoever I was most inspired to write next, and then I would write three of their chapters. And so that's kind of how I would do it. Darius was always chosen last. So
Yeah, well, and he was a challenging character, and he was the one you resonated with the most, that you wanted just to be the most just prolific type of character that's like you wanted your audience to figure him out
yes,
a little bit
yes,
along the way, right? So it's a little more challenging. That's great. I love that.
yeah.
So do you find that when you were writing from multiple POV that you would have to sort of switch your energy a little bit, like with
Oh yes.
a female to male, assassin to maybe more of the subdued characters? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I would have to, if I had one writing session, it would basically be for just one character.
Hmm.
And then I would have to physically get up, walk out of the office, walk out of wherever I was writing, do something else, and completely change up my energy. Because otherwise, I would still be in the other character's headspace. And
Right.
I would notice that because I would try to go like from Arden to even to Ryden, and I would start writing for him, even though it was third person and not first person, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like him. Like I'm still like
You're
I'm
still
still in
Arden.
Arden's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still her. Like I need to go do something else. But again, it's kind of like what I said when you write and you skip a day and then you write again and you don't remember. It's almost
Right.
like you cleanse yourself of whatever character you were working on so you can move to the next
Oh,
one.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we all of a good story. What's one book, or maybe a nonfiction? What's one book, not your own, that you would recommend?
I have two that are tied. So I would say Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. I feel like everyone needs to read that book. And then also more of a classic would be The Bell Jar by Sylvia
Ah,
Plath. Those have always been a tie. Anytime I'm asked that question, I'm like, I have to recommend both because they're both just so good.
great choices. Great choices. So balance is key. I know
Mm.
you are married, you have a beautiful family. How do you juggle writing with other responsibilities and interests?
Yes, so it's definitely been a challenge. But but I will say that because I used to have a schedule that was more open, that I could
Mhm.
kind of craft my day, if you will, there was so much open time and free time that I would almost have decision fatigue. Like there were so many things that I wanted to do that I would almost like have like analysis paralysis trying to
Mhm.
figure out what I wanted to do next.
Oh, oh no, we lost her. Oh, let's see if we can get her back. There she is. There you are. Okay.
Third time's a charm. I have full bars, so I don't know what
I
is
do too.
happening.
I don't know. The tech gremlins got it hard for us right now.
They're like, all right, time to cut it off.
Like you two are trouble. That's what.
That's what it is. Okay, what were we talking about? We were talking about
So basically
while you were
juggling all the things and analysis paralysis.
yes. So now really it's when Ivy is napping, that is my dedicated writing time. And so some days it's only 45 minutes, some days it's 3 hours, which those days I'm like, yes, keep sleeping.
What?
But what's hard about that is I am most creative at night, but in a household this size and just with what we've got going on, I'm just so tired by the end of the day, and also being pregnant too, that
Right.
I kind of have to just say, okay, it's a season of life. I'll be able to write again at night sometime in the future, but that time is not now. And so I write during her nap times, and like I
And
said,
then
sometimes
roll
it's
with
an
it.
hour or 3 hours. And
Yeah. So it's
that's my
sort of
writing
like an
day.
acceptance of, time's kind of not my own at the moment, and that's okay. And I'm just
Yeah.
gonna season of
Go
life.
with
I love that.
yep,
If we
season
would
of life.
all
That's
remember that.
season of life.
Today is just really testing me, so I'm gonna say it's a season of life today, and just try to who saw it.
Exactly.
So let's dream big. What's next on your creative journey? Any projects, genre? I know you have you're ending the Shadow Crown series.
Yes, next month.
Woo!
So this is like wrapping up a 7-year project here next month, which is so sad and so exciting.
Bittersweet,
Feels both
absolutely.
conflicting emotions, you know.
I bet.
I'm gonna miss writing for these characters so much. But like I mentioned before, I do have a paranormal romance novel that I have been querying, just to see if an agent wants it or will pick it up. I think romantasy, like romance fantasy, is such a huge. It's so popular right now that I feel like other genres are kind of being overlooked,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
agreed.
But I do have another fantasy book. I've written 7 chapters of it. I just don't know if I want to write another series. And I feel like so many fantasy books end up becoming series.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that one. But I would really love to try writing a thriller novel. I just don't know if I could do that in one book. Like I'm the kind of person where I have so many ideas that I feel like I need multiple books to get all of like the foreshadowing and to make it feel the way I want to feel when I'm
Right.
reading
And
it.
and the way you write is so amazing because you build this world, and I don't know if
Mhm.
you can keep that to one novel.
But yeah, that's the hardest part because I feel like I just keep expanding upon
It's
it,
a
and
good
then
problem to have. I
it
mean,
is. But I envy. I read a lot of Frida McFadden's
mhm.
books, like she wrote The Housemaid and like The Inmate, and I can't even remember so many like thriller books, and I will sit there and read those within a 48-hour period because I just can't stop flipping the
Yeah.
pages. I'm like, man, like I wish I could write a book like this, but I
Yeah.
just feel like I can't do it in one book. Like I need more. I need
Yeah.
more than
It's
one.
like, but there's so much here. I can oh.
Yeah, there's so much to expand upon that I don't want to miss out on that opportunity to expand upon it.
Right,
So,
right. Which is your
yeah.
gift,
Yeah.
really.
Well, thank
I mean, no, it really is your gift. You are an amazing writer. You're an amazing writer.
you. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. So I have some bonus questions. It'll be a little bit fun now to
Mhm.
round us out and set you free from from today. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
This is going to sound so silly,
Which
but
is
I just
perfect.
love, I know, I know, but I love hummus, carrots, and snap peas. I can just sit there, and
Ooh.
it's healthy though too, but I can just sit there and I will eat the whole bag of the carrots and the snap peas and like half the thing of hummus. And um, I don't know, I feel like it's such good writing fuel.
Yeah.
And then just
Protein.
water with me. I do love my coffee, but I'm trying not to drink as much since I'm pregnant. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then decaf's just not as fun. I mean, trust, I know. I wake up with the decaf every day and can't wait to
Yeah.
get the caffeinated one. So if your life was a book, what would the title be?
This is such a hard question. Because I think it would be the walking paradox or like great expectations, because I feel like in my earlier, and not great expectations the actual book, but like great expectations in my mind, where I thought my life was going to go one way when I was younger and I was so sure of it, and it just went completely yeah, just it had its own plan, its own trail, and we just went along with it. So yeah, the walking paradox, because I feel like I'm just like my energies are just like conflicting all the time, or
Mm-hmm.
great expectations. Yeah.
Good answers. Good answers. So, one last question. Can you share a piece of advice that you wish someone had given you when you started your writing journey?
Yes, I can. I would say to well, it's kind of like two pieces of advice that go pretty well together, but to do it scared
Yeah.
and write regardless. So like regardless of your external situations, like don't wait for the perfect time, don't wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect scenario. Um write regardless of what is going on in your life, especially if you feel that pull to create something. You feel the pull for a reason. And there's always going to be noise, there's always going to be distractions, there's always going to be something in your life that may not be going how you thought it was going to go. Like I feel like there's just always stuff happening. But
Surprises.
yeah, surprises, like surprises, unexpected surprises. But you have to write regardless of those things. Certainly, there are times where we need to take a step back to kind of heal, to breathe, show ourselves some grace, and I completely understand that and agree with that.
Yeah.
I also think you can't, if you're afraid of, like, you do it scared. The whole time I wrote my first book, I was scared out of my mind because like in the back of my head, I was just thinking about that health procedure.
Yeah.
So
Great
yeah,
advice. Do it scared,
just scared, right? Regardless.
right? Regardless. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you, Kristen, so much for being here. Would you like to
Thank you.
leave the audience with details on how they can find you and your books?
Yes, so you can go to my website. It's just kristenmartinbooks.com, and you can click around there and find all the books. I'm also on YouTube, so you can just type in author Kristen Martin in the YouTube search bar and I'll pop up there. And then I'm most active, I would say, on YouTube and Instagram. I'm trying to get into TikTok, but it's just author Kristen Martin. So anywhere you type in author Kristen Martin, I should pop up. I should pop up.
Pop up somewhere. She's out
Yep.
there, people. Well, and that brings us to another episode of Armchair Author Chats. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Kristen, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys next time. Thank you. For more information, links will be in description below and also in the show notes on the podcast. If you like this interview, please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to share the video.